Hey beautiful souls, are you ready for a love story that will change how you see yourself? Because what I'm about to share will prove that sometimes the person who calls you worthless is the one who's truly broken. Picture this. It's 1823. A trembling girl stands before a man they call the Beast Count, her wedding night. She's been told her entire life that no one could ever want her, but what happens next will restore your faith in love. Meet Elara, 20 years old, convinced she's too plain, too awkward, too everything wrong to ever be loved. Her own mother, the woman who should protect her, whispers poison in her ear every single day. No one will want you except him, and he's desperate enough. Can you imagine your own mother destroying your self-worth before you even meet the man you're supposed to marry? If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, this story will heal something deep inside you. But here's where it gets incredible. Count Aldrich approaches her on their wedding night. She's shaking, waiting for cruelty, expecting to be used and discarded like her mother always said she would be. Her heart is fracturing because she believes this is all she deserves. And then, he stops. He sees her terror. This man, who's been alone for 3 years, who agreed to this marriage out of desperation, he sees her fear, and something inside him shifts. Instead of claiming his rights, he steps back. Instead of taking what's his, he offers her a chair. You're safe, he whispers. I won't hurt you. She can't believe it. Neither can we. This isn't the monster everyone described. This isn't the beast who supposedly killed his first wife. This is a broken man looking at a broken woman and choosing kindness over conquest. But why? Why did the Beast Count really agree to marry her? And what tragedy made him so desperate for any bride? The answers will surprise you. She waited for cruelty. Instead, he offered her gentleness. The lonely Count, who hadn't smiled in 3 years, felt something shift when he saw himself reflected in her eye. You won't believe what made him stop, but the girl who thought she deserved nothing is about to discover she deserves everything. Have you ever been surprised by unexpected kindness when you needed it most? Share your story below, because this community understands that healing comes through connection. But first, let me tell you about the girl who made herself invisible, and the man who learned to see in the dark. If you've ever felt unlovable, if you've ever believed the lies people told you about your worth, hit that like button right now, because Elara's transformation is going to inspire your own. Stay with me, because what happens next proves that sometimes the person brave enough to see your pain is the one meant to heal it. And the shocking truth about why her mother really sent her away. You're not ready for that reveal? Okay, so let me tell you about the girl who learned to disappear. Because understanding Elara's pain will make her transformation even more beautiful. Every morning, she wakes up and practices making herself smaller. Literally, she slouches her shoulders, ducks her head, speaks in whispers. Because in her mother's house, being noticed means being heard. The woman who gave birth to her, Lady Catherine, is a masterpiece of cruelty. And the saddest part, Elara helps her do it. I'm the plain daughter, Elara whispers to herself each morning. I'm disappointed. I'm the one who looks too much like him. The father who abandoned them both. The man whose eyes Elara inherited, along with his abandonment. But here's what breaks my heart about her coping mechanism. She agrees with every insult before others can voice them. She calls herself ugly before anyone else gets the chance. She's weaponized self-destruction as protection. Can you imagine carrying that weight? Comment below if you've ever felt like you had to be your own worst critic just to survive. The incident that changed everything. The dinner party. Elara serves quietly, invisibly, until a guest mentions marriage prospects for local girls. Her mother's laugh cuts through the room like glass. Not Elara. She's unmarriageable. Too plain, too quiet, her father's daughter. The words she whispers to herself each night will break your heart. I am not enough. I will never be enough. I don't deserve to be seen. But wait, there's something her mother doesn't know. Every night, when the house sleeps, Elara creeps to the library. She lights a single candle and disappears into romance novels. Stories where plain girls are cherished, where love sees past appearances, where someone, anyone, chooses the invisible girl. She memorizes every word, every kiss, every declaration of love. Because in those pages, she lets herself dream. Maybe someday, she whispers to the candlelight, someone will see me. Really see me. Not just look at me, but see who I am inside. The books she reads in secret reveal what she truly craves. Not just love, but recognition. Not just acceptance, but celebration. Not just being chosen, but being treasured. And then, everything changes. A letter arrives. The seal is unfamiliar. Her mother reads it, and for the first time in years, smiles. Not warmth, triumph. You're getting married, Elara, to Count Elara Blackthorne, the beast count. The man they say killed his wife, the desperate widower who needs a dowry more than a bride. But here's the beautiful irony. The girl who believes she's too broken to be loved is about to meet the man who thinks he's too dangerous to love again. She touched the romance novel, held it to her chest, and let herself dream, just for a moment. What if this time, someone stayed? The servant who helps her pack whispers a warning. Be careful, miss. They say he keeps his first wife's ghost in every room. They say he talks to shadows. But Elara isn't listening to what they say anymore. Because somewhere deep inside, past all the wounds, a tiny spark of hope flickers. Maybe, just maybe, being sent away isn't punishment. Maybe it's a rescue. Every mirror became her enemy. Every compliment felt like a lie. But what if she's been looking in the wrong mirrors? What if the person meant to see her clearly is waiting in a castle full of shadows? Hit like if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Because what happens when someone finally sees her truth will give you chills. The girl who learned to hide is about to discover what it means to be found, and the strength she doesn't know she has. It's going to surprise everyone, including herself. Can you imagine believing you're too ugly to be loved? Tell me in the comments if this resonates, because this community knows that our worst critics are often the ones who should love us most. She's about to leave everything she knows, for a man she's never met, in a place that might be her prison or her paradise. But the real question isn't whether he'll accept her, it's whether she'll finally accept herself. And that journey starts with a single step into the unknown. Now let me tell you about the man they call a monster, because his story will shatter every assumption you have about grief and guilt. Count Elara Blackthorne, 32 years old, hasn't smiled in 3 years, lives alone in a castle that's slowly crumbling, just like his heart. But here's what they don't tell you about the beast count. His isolation isn't cruelty, it's pain. Every single night, he walks to her portrait. Isabella, his first wife. The woman he believes he killed through neglect. And he whispers the same words. I'm sorry, I should have seen. I should have known. I should have saved you. The real reason he's called the beast count isn't what anyone thinks. It's not violence. It's not cruelty. It's guilt so consuming. It devoured the man he used to be. What he does every midnight will change how you see him completely. He talks to her painting. Not just apologies, full conversations. About his day. About the servants. About how empty everything feels without her laughter. About how he's failing everyone who depends on him. But here's the heartbreaking truth. Isabella didn't die because he was cruel. She died because he was absent. Lost in business. On duty. In everything except the woman who needed him most. I was a husband in name only, he tells her portrait. I gave you a title, but never myself. Can you imagine that guilt? Knowing that your neglect, not your hatred, destroyed someone you loved. If you've ever blamed yourself for something you can't change, his story will resonate. The estate is dying too. Creditors circle like vultures. The servants haven't been paid in months. The roof leaks. The gardens are overgrown. Everything beautiful is withering away, just like him. But watch this. Here's why I love this broken man. A stable boy falls from a horse, breaks his arm, can't work, can't earn, can't feed his family. And Elara, the man who supposedly has no heart, pays for the boy's care from his last remaining funds. The creditor who comes to collect debts. He watches this act of kindness, and his smile turns predatory. You're too soft, Count. That's your weakness. You care too much about people who don't matter. But Elara's jaw sets. They matter to me. That's when the creditor makes his offer. A marriage contract. A substantial dowry. Enough to save the estate. And everyone who depends on it. Her name is Elara. She's plain, quiet, grateful. She won't expect romance. She won't demand attention. Perfect for a man who has nothing left to give. And Elara, the man who swore never to risk another woman's happiness, agrees. Not for himself, for them. The servants, the tenants, the people who trusted him to protect their livelihoods. He touched Isabella's portrait, whispered an apology, like every night for 3 years. I failed you, but I won't fail them. The creditor smiled, knowing the Count would do anything to protect his people. But there's something in that smile, something calculating, something that suggests this marriage isn't just business. It's revenge. But revenge for what? What connects Elara's family to Elara's tragedy? The truth will surprise you. Here's what breaks my heart about his character. He believes love is dangerous, that caring kills, that the best thing he can do for any woman is stay away. But loneliness is killing him slower than guilt ever could. The servant who's been stealing food, Aldrich knows, and instead of punishment, he quietly increases the household allowance, because sometimes survival requires bending rules, and he understands desperation.
You think you know why he's desperate for this marriage?
The truth runs deeper than money, deeper than saving the estate, deeper than protecting his people. He needs to prove he can keep someone safe, that he can be worthy of trust, that he can love without destroying. But what he doesn't realize is that the broken girl coming to marry him needs the exact same proof. Two people convinced they're too damaged to deserve happiness, about to discover that sometimes healing happens in pairs. What drives someone to self-isolation when they're naturally protective and kind? Share your thoughts below, because understanding his walls will make watching them crumble even more beautiful. The man who punishes himself for loving poorly is about to learn how to love well, and the teacher who'll show him how. She's already on her way. He expects emptiness, duty, polite distance. Instead, he's about to meet his match in brokenness, and his guide to wholeness.
Okay, beautiful souls. Are you ready for the moment that changes everything? Because when these two wounded hearts meet, magic happens.
Picture this. The drawing room of Blackthorne Castle. Shadows everywhere. Dust motes dancing in autumn light. And two people about to discover they're not as alone as they thought. Elara enters first. Small steps. Eyes down. Wearing her plainest dress because, why pretend? She's already convinced herself this is a business transaction. Nothing more. But then, he walks in. And everything you think you know about the beast count shatters. He's not a monster. He's magnificent. Tall, strong. But his eyes, oh, his eyes carry such sadness. The same sadness she sees in her own mirror every morning. She curtsies, stumbles slightly, and he catches her. Their eyes meet, and for the first time in both their lives, neither looks away. At this moment, two broken souls recognize each other, and neither realizes they just met their salvation and destruction all at once. Lady Elara, he says softly, and the way he says her name, like it matters, like she matters, makes her breath catch. She's waiting for inspection, for disappointment, for the moment he realizes what a poor bargain he's made. Instead, he's studying her face like he's memorizing something precious. You're not what I expected, he murmurs. Her heart drops. Here it comes. The rejection, the confirmation that she's not enough. I expected someone harder, someone who'd been told she was beautiful so often she believed it. But you look like you've never been told you matter at all. And that's when something cracks open in both of them. Because he sees it. The invisible girl is finally being seen. And she sees it too. The lonely man who's been talking to portraits finally has someone real to talk to. I don't, she whispers. Matter. I mean, that's why I'm here. His face transforms. No pity. Understanding. I matter so little that marriage to a stranger was my best option. They laugh. Both of them. Soft and broken and real. And in that laughter, something begins. We're quite a pair, she says, and for the first time in years, forgets to make herself smaller. Indeed we are. And for the first time in 3 years, he almost smiles. But watch this beautiful moment. He offers her tea. She reaches for the cup. Their fingers brush. And electricity shoots through both of them. Not just attraction, recognition, like coming home to a place they've never been. She jerks her hand back. He steps away, both terrified of hope. I should warn you, he says carefully. I'm not good at this. At marriage. At making women happy. I should warn you, she replies. I'm not good at being happy. Their eyes met, and for the first time, neither looked away. Neither apologized for their brokenness. Neither tried to be smaller or safer. Perhaps, he says slowly, we could learn together. She waited for disgust. Instead, she found wonder. He expected emptiness, but saw himself reflected back in eyes that understood pain. When have you felt that instant soul recognition? That moment when someone sees your wounds and doesn't flinch? Share that moment below. Because this community knows that healing begins with being witnessed. But just as they're beginning to breathe, hope, footsteps echo in the hallway. Her mother's voice carries through the door, sharp, demanding. Elara, come here at once. And the spell breaks. Elara shrinks back into herself, shoulders hunching, eyes dropping. The invisible girl returns like armor. But Aldrich, he notices. He sees her transformation, and something protective flares in his chest. She can wait, he says quietly. You don't have to go. She looks at him in shock. No one has ever put her needs first. But she's my mother, and you're my wife. The words surprise them both, but he doesn't take them back. Well, you will be, and that means you matter to me. In the space of 20 minutes, she's gone from invisible to seen, from worthless to valued, from alone to protected. Neither realizes that her mother's arrival isn't coincidence, that there are forces at work beyond simple arranged marriage, that their growing connection threatens someone's carefully laid plans. The moment he almost mentions Isabella, catches himself, and chooses to stay present with Elara instead. That's when you know this man is healing too. Have you ever felt instantly understood by someone you just met? Tell me about it in the comments, because what happens next will show you why some connections transcend explanation. Their first meeting should have been awkward, formal, disappointing. Instead, it was magic disguised as accident, love disguised as convenience, healing disguised as marriage contract. He looks at her, really looks, and sees beauty everyone else missed. She looks at him, past the rumors and fear, and sees kindness everyone else overlooked. But the biggest revelation, neither of them is broken beyond repair. They're just unfinished, waiting for someone who speaks their language of scars and second chances. The collision wasn't their bodies in that stumble. It was their souls recognizing home. And what they're about to build together will inspire you to believe in your own capacity for transformation. But first, they have to survive the forces determined to tear them apart. Hold on to your hearts, beautiful souls, because just when these two find each other, everything threatens to fall apart. 3 days into their engagement, 3 days of stolen conversations, 3 days of learning that maybe, just maybe, they deserve happiness. And then, chaos arrives in a carriage. Lady Catherine, Elara's mother. Unannounced, uninvited, and absolutely furious. She storms into Blackthorne Castle like a hurricane of silk and venom. Elara, what have you been telling him? What lies have you been spreading? But here's what's different this time. Elara doesn't immediately shrink. She glances at Aldrich, who's watching her with steady, supportive eyes, and something inside her straightens. I haven't told any lies, mother. Don't you dare take that tone with me. You're here for one purpose, to secure this marriage and save our family from ruin, not to play at being worthy of affection. The words cut, but this time, they don't slice as deep, because someone else's voice is louder in her head now. Aldrich's voice, calling her beautiful, telling her she matters. Just when she learns to trust, everything threatens to shatter. But watch how she responds. It'll give you chill. Maybe I am worthy, Elara says quietly. Maybe I always was. Lady Catherine's face turns purple. You ungrateful little... That's enough. Aldrich's voice cuts through the tirade like steel. You will not speak to my betrothed that way. And something shifts in the room. Power, respect, protection. But Lady Catherine isn't finished. Oh no. She's just getting started. You want to know what your precious bride is worth? She's payment for a debt. Her father, the man who abandoned us, he owes you everything. This marriage? It's not love. It's collection. The words hang in the air like poison. But before either of them can process this bombshell, another visitor arrives. Cordelia Blackthorne, Aldrich's first wife's sister, beautiful, bitter, and carrying accusations that could destroy everything. Hello, Aldrich. Still collecting wives to replace the one you murdered? His worst nightmare returns. But watch how Elara responds. Because her reaction will show you who she really is inside. Instead of running, instead of believing the worst, Elara steps closer to him. Murdered? She asks calmly. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Cordelia laughs, sharp and cruel. Proof? He killed Isabella through neglect. Left her alone so much she died of heartbreak. But that's not the worst part. She pauses for effect, looking between them with malicious glee. The worst part, Isabella was trying to leave him. For another man. She died running to her lover, and Aldrich let everyone believe it was illness. The revelation hits like a physical blow. Aldrich staggers. 3 years of guilt, but not the whole truth. And Elara, precious, invisible Elara, does something that surprises everyone. She takes his hand. Is it true? She asks softly. He can barely speak. Yes. She was leaving. I failed her so completely she'd rather die trying to escape than stay with me. Her mother's words cut deep. But this time, Elara didn't bleed. She absorbed the truth, processed the pain, and chose love anyway. Then you understand, she says firmly, what it feels like to be abandoned. what it feels like to not be enough, what it feels like to be left behind. And in that moment, their shared wounds become their shared strength. But Cordelia isn't finished. There's more, dear sister-in-law. The man Isabella was running to. The man she loved enough to die for. Her smile turns vicious. Elara's father. The room explodes into chaos. Lady Catherine screams. Aldrich goes white. Elara stands frozen as her entire world reshapes itself. Everything they thought they knew was orchestrated, manipulated, designed for maximum destruction. But here's what breaks my heart and fills it simultaneously. Instead of turning on each other, instead of letting the revelation tear them apart, they turned toward each other. He prepared for condemnation. Instead, she took his hand. She expected abandonment. Instead, he stepped closer. So our families destroyed each other, Elara says slowly. Our parents' choices created this mess. But, she looks up at him, eyes clear, voice steady. Their mistakes don't define our future. Do they? Would you choose love or safety when everything falls apart? Comment your choice below, because what these two choose next will restore your faith in conscious love. The truth about both their pasts was about to collide. But sometimes collision creates new stars instead of destroying old ones. Because here's what they realize in that moment of chaos. Their love didn't grow because of the manipulation. It grew despite it. In the cracks, in the spaces between lies, in the honest moments when they forgot to protect themselves. I choose you, Aldrich says firmly. Not because of debts or arrangements, or other people's schemes. I choose you. I choose you too, Elara whispers. Not because I have to, because I want to. And that is when they stop being victims of other people's stories and start writing their own. Lady Catherine sputters. Cordelia rages. But two broken people are becoming whole in each other's courage. What would you sacrifice for someone who sees your worth? Tell me below, because these two are about to sacrifice everything for the chance to build something real. Every obstacle that should tear them apart somehow brings them closer. But the biggest test is coming, because choosing each other is just the beginning. Now they have to fight for each other. And that fight, it's going to require strength neither of them knew they possessed. Okay, beautiful souls, prepare your hearts. Because what I'm about to tell you will shatter everything you thought you knew about their love story. The letter arrives at dawn, delivered by a man with cold eyes and colder smile, Lord Edmund Harrington, a creditor who's been circling Aldrich's estate like a vulture. But he's not just any creditor. He's Elara's father. Hello, daughter, he says casually, as if he hadn't abandoned her 20 years ago. Surprised to see me? Elara can't breathe. The man she's wondered about her entire life. The man whose eyes she inherited. The man who left them broken and bitter is here. But why now? Why like this? You want to know the truth about your fairy tale romance? He continues, settling into Aldrich's drawing room like he owns it. Let me tell you a story about revenge served cold. And then, everything unravels. 23 years ago, I loved a woman, Isabella Fairfax. She was engaged to someone else, but she loved me. We planned to run away together, to start fresh, to be happy. Aldrich's face goes ashen. Isabella. His Isabella. But her family wouldn't let her go. They forced the marriage, locked her away until the wedding, made her marry a man who could never love her the way I did. You, Edmund's eyes fix on Aldrich, with pure hatred. You stole her from me, trapped her in a loveless marriage, killed her spirit year by year until she had nothing left. The truth emerges like acid, destroying everything it touches. She tried to come to me. 3 years ago, packed her things, left you a letter, was riding to meet me when her horse threw her. She died, trying to get back to the man who actually loved her. Everything you thought you knew was a lie. But what they choose next will restore your faith in conscious love. But there's more. Oh, there's so much more. Catherine, Elara's mother. She was my consolation prize. Married her on the rebound. Had a child who looked just like the woman I'd lost. And every day, every single day, I hated that child for not being Isabella. Elara staggers. Her entire childhood, the rejection, the cruelty, it wasn't about her worthiness. It was about resembling a dead woman her father couldn't forget. So I left. Let Catherine raise the constant reminder of my failure. Let her poison the girl against herself. And I waited. His smile turns predatory. Waited for the perfect revenge. Destroying you by giving you exactly what you took from me. A loveless marriage. A woman who could never truly be yours. A union built on lies and desperation. The letter in his hand, The marriage contract. It's all there, planned, orchestrated, designed to destroy Aldrich the same way Isabella was destroyed. Edmund continues his devastating revelation. I've been systematically ruining your finances for 3 years. Every bad investment, every failed venture, every creditor circling your estate. All me. I made you desperate enough to marry anyone, and then provided the perfect bride. Plain enough to be grateful, broken enough to be manageable. My daughter, payment for the daughter I should have had. But what they choose next will restore your faith and love that sees everything clearly. Elara's complete worldview shatters, but instead of breaking, she chooses truth over comfort. So my entire life, she says slowly, has been your revenge fantasy. Every moment of it, Edmund confirms cruelly. Every cruel word your mother spoke. Every day you felt worthless. Every night you cried yourself to sleep. All of it because Elara Blackthorne stole my happiness. The room falls silent, except for the sound of hearts breaking. But then, something extraordinary happened. Aldrich speaks, voice steady, despite the devastation. You're wrong about one thing. Edmund raises an eyebrow. What's that? You said Isabella could never truly be mine, but you're wrong. She was mine, in the ways that matter. In trust. In companionship. In the quiet moments when she let me see her real self. He looks at Elara, eyes clear, voice growing stronger. And you're wrong about Elara. She's not payment for a debt. She's not a consolation prize. She's not broken or manageable or grateful for scraps. Elara's heart stops. She's extraordinary. She's brave. She's kind. Despite every reason to be bitter. She's beautiful in ways you'll never understand because you only see what you've lost. Never what's right in front of you. Has betrayal ever led you to something real? Share your story, because what happens next will prove that some love is stronger than the lies that try to destroy it. Edmund laughs. Pretty words. But your marriage is still built on my manipulation. Your love, if you can call it that, exists because I allowed it to. And that's when Elara finds her voice. No, she says firmly. It doesn't. Everyone turns to look at her. Our love exists despite your manipulation. It grew in the spaces between your lies. In moments when we forgot to be who you wanted us to be. In conversations when we chose honesty over safety. She looks at Aldrich. I didn't fall in love with you because I was grateful for scraps. I fell in love with you because you saw me. Really saw me. When I didn't even see myself. The letter revealed everything. And nothing would ever be the same. She looked at him, knowing the truth, and made her choice. So thank you, she continues, addressing her father with steel in her voice. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for showing us that real love, conscious love, love that chooses daily, is stronger than the hate that created it. He could let guilt win again, or fight for something real. And in that moment, Aldrich chooses to fight. I release, Isabella, he says quietly. I release the guilt. I release the story that I destroyed her. She made her choice. You made yours. Catherine made hers. And now, he takes Elara's hand. We make ours. If you discovered your love was built on manipulation, would you fight for what's real underneath? Comment below, because true love isn't blind. It sees everything and chooses anyway. The words that change everything are about to be spoken. Words of choice. Words of defiance. Words of love that refuses to be a victim of other people's pain. We're keeping each other, Elara says firmly. Not because we have to, because we want to. Because what we've built together is ours. Not yours. Not theirs. Ours. And that is the moment they stop being pawns in other people's games and become the authors of their own story. But Edmund isn't finished. He has one more card to play. One final destruction plan. And it's going to require every ounce of strength they've found in each other to survive what comes next. Here we go, beautiful souls. This is where everything transforms, where two people who've been told they're broken discover they're exactly what each other needs to become whole. Edmund's final card. Legal documents. Forged signatures. Fraudulent contracts that could strip Aldrich of everything and leave Elara legally bound to a man who sees her as property. You think love conquers all? He sneers. Try loving each other from debtor's prison. But here's where the magic happens. Where Elara becomes who she was always meant to be. She stands, straight, tall, looking her father in the eye for the first time in her life. I have something to say. Her voice carries through the room like music. Clear, strong, unafraid. My entire life, I believed I was worthless because you abandoned me. I believed I was unlovable because my mother told me so. I believed I deserved scraps because that's all anyone offered me. Watch her become who she was always meant to be. because this transformation will give you chills. But you know what I've learned? The people who call us worthless are the ones too broken to see worth. The people who abandon us are the ones too afraid to stay and fight. The people who offer us scraps don't recognize a feast when it's right in front of them. Edmund's confidence wavers. This isn't the broken girl he expected. You orchestrated this marriage to destroy us both, but you gave us something you never intended. You gave us each other, and together, we're stronger than your hatred. She walks to Aldrich's desk, opens the drawer, and pulls out the real marriage contract. The one Edmund thought he controlled. You see, while you were busy playing puppet master, we were busy building something real. Aldrich showed me the original documents weeks ago. We know about the forgeries. We know about the illegal financial manipulation. We know everything. His transformation will give you hope for your own. Because watch what choosing love over guilt does to a person. Aldrich steps forward. No longer the guilt-ridden man who's been punishing himself for 3 years. This is the man Elara sees when she looks at him. Strong, protective, worthy. Isabella's death wasn't my fault, he says clearly. Her choices weren't my responsibility. Her happiness wasn't my burden to carry. I loved her the best I knew how, and that has to be enough. He looks at Edmund. Your grief doesn't justify destroying innocent people. Your loss doesn't give you the right to create more loss. And most importantly, he takes Elara's hand. Your manipulation doesn't diminish what we've chosen to build. The servant who's been watching from the doorway. He steps forward. Thomas. Stable master. The one who's been quietly documenting every illegal visit, every forged signature, every fraudulent transaction. The magistrate is waiting outside, my lord, along with the financial investigators. Edmund's face goes white. You planned this? Elara smiles. Radiant. Confident. Free. We learned from the best manipulator how to manipulate back. But here's the beautiful part. They're not destroying him out of revenge. They're stopping him out of justice. You'll face consequences for your actions, Aldrich says firmly. But we won't let hatred consume us the way it consumed you. We won't let your choices define our future. She spoke her truth, and the world didn't end. It began. He chose joy over guilt, and felt freedom, at last. Lady Catherine, who's been silent through the entire confrontation, finally speaks. Elara, mother. Elara's voice is gentle but firm. You chose bitterness over healing, cruelty over kindness. But your choices are yours to live with. I'm done carrying them. The mother who destroyed her daughter's self-worth, watching that daughter become magnificent despite her efforts. I forgive you, Elara continues. Not because you deserve it, because I deserve to be free of your poison. I deserve to love and be loved without your voice in my head, telling me I'm not enough. Together they stood, not perfect, but whole. Two people who chose healing over hurting, growth over stagnation, love over fear. If you believe people can change, if you believe love can heal, if you believe in the power of choosing your own story, hit like now. But the most beautiful moment, when Aldrich turns to Isabella's portrait, the one he's been apologizing to for 3 years, and says goodbye. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for showing me what I didn't want to repeat. Thank you for the guilt that taught me the value of attention. Rest now. I'm ready to live again. And Elara, precious Elara, who spent 20 years believing she wasn't worthy of being chosen, watches the man she loves choose her every single day. I choose you, she whispers. Not because you saved me, because you saw me. Not because you fixed me, because you loved me, exactly as I was, while believing I could become even more. I choose you, he replies. Not to replace what I lost, but to build something entirely new. Something that's ours. Something that's real. Something that's conscious and daily and beautiful. The courage they find in each other will inspire you to find your own. Because sometimes healing doesn't happen alone. Sometimes transformation requires a witness. Sometimes becoming who we're meant to be happens in the safety of being fully seen. Edmund is led away. Lady Catherine leaves in shame. Cordelia retreats in defeat. But Elara and Aldrich, they remain, hand in hand, heart to heart, ready to write a love story that belongs completely to them. Their happy beginning starts now. Because true love stories don't end with happily ever after. They begin with let's choose each other every single day. And what they build next will inspire everyone who witnesses it. 1 year later, beautiful souls, and the transformation will take your breath away. Picture this. Blackthorne Castle. No longer crumbling. No longer shadowed. Alive with laughter. Bustling with purpose. Radiant with joy. And Elara, she's not the same woman who entered that drawing room trembling and invisible. She moves through her home. Yes, her home, with confidence that comes from being truly seen. She wears colors now, rich blues that match her eyes, warm golds that complement her smile. 'Cause when someone sees your beauty, you start to see it too. But here's what I love most about her transformation. She's not just confident, she's compassionate, using her pain to heal others. The Elara Foundation, she tells the group of young women gathered in her parlor. For girls who've been told they're unmarriageable, unmatchable, unworthy. These women, girls really, from families that see them as burdens, they look at Lady Elara like she's performed magic. How, one whispers. How did you go from nothing to this? Elara's smile is radiant. I learned the truth. We're not nothing. We've never been nothing. We just needed someone who spoke our language, the language of seeing worth where others see worthlessness. And Aldrich, he's standing in the doorway, watching his wife, his extraordinary wife, create ripples of healing that extend far beyond their love story. Their happy ending is just the beginning. But wait until you see what they do next. He runs the estate with joy now. Not duty, not guilt. Joy, because work done alongside someone you love isn't work. It's partnership. The servants are paid. The gardens bloom. The house rings with celebration. But the most beautiful change, the portrait of Isabella has moved, not hidden, not destroyed, placed in a position of honor, alongside paintings of Elara, past and present, grief and joy. All part of the story, but no longer controlling it. Your faith in transformation has been rewarded, because look what happens when two people choose healing over hiding. The letter that arrives on their anniversary, from Lady Catherine, short, bitter, but containing 3 words Elara never expected to read. I was wrong. Not an apology exactly, but acknowledgement. Recognition that her daughter, her supposedly worthless daughter, created something beautiful, despite every obstacle. Their love story proves it's never too late to become who you're meant to be. It's never too late to choose love over fear. It's never too late to write a better ending. And the surprise? The child they're expecting. The baby who will grow up knowing, from day one, that they are chosen, celebrated, treasured. Sometimes, love doesn't just find us, it creates us. They learned the greatest truth. We're all worthy of being seen. Mash that like button if character growth gives you hope. Subscribe for love stories where people become their best selves. Comment which transformation touched you most. Elara's journey from invisible to radiant, or Aldrich's path from guilt to joy. Share this with someone who needs to believe in their worth, because their love story is proof that the right person won't just accept your brokenness. They'll help you discover you were never broken at all. You were just unfinished, waiting for someone who could see the masterpiece you were always meant to become. And if these two damaged souls could find healing in each other, imagine what's possible for you.